Hello and welcome to Patchats. Patchats. If you're wondering if that's a giant butt behind me, yes it is. What is this? This Patchats is the Walkcast. Gotta keep the hashtag content coming, due for a podcast tomorrow. So today I'm going to walk around Barcelona. I'm going to set up my rig in some parks. And we're going to have a Parkcast. We're going to have a Walkcast. There'll be a Barcelonacast. And the nice thing is, I was worried, hey, will there be a nice opportunity or a nice place to record the pod, I hope the weather's okay. And as you can see, it's just a beautiful, the sun is so bright it almost hurts your eyes. It's, as they say here, caliente. And so it's nice that fear of mine hasn't come true. And so yeah, I don't know how this is going to be. Might be stupid gimmick, might be fun, but I'm been inspired by the Ari Shafir style pirate radio podcasting. You can do a podcast in a park, you can do a podcast on a hike, you can do a podcast from Ecuador, I can do a podcast from Barcelona, walking around in this beautiful, bright, sunny, it's almost, the air is so still and hot, almost uncomfortable, but, just lucky, hashtag blessed to be here. And so we're going to give this thing a crack, even though I feel super awkward. And this will be the Patchats, Walkcast, Parkcast, Barcelonacast. It was my birthday, and I'm going to talk about some reflections. It's a good time for yearly reflections. Now there are people, and so I feel like a fucking idiot. Patchats. Hey, buddy. Hi. All right. I feel incredibly awkward. We're podcasting in a park. I don't remember the name of the park, but you can see this castle kind of thing behind me. So that's something. That's Barcelona. I think I can't wear the headphones. I think I have to be like this, and so that I feel less, can't hear my voice. I feel like just 5 minutes ago there was way less people. Why? I feel like I'm doing something wrong. That's part of it, is it feels like I'm doing something wrong. Like someone's going to come be like, hey, you can't do that here. Knock that off. Don't do that. Of course, people will assume that I'm some sort of influencer, and I have no influence, but I do want to be famous on the internet. So I guess I am that person. I am that fame whore. So yeah, the Park podcast, the Walkcast, the Birthday podcast. First stop here in the park, I got coffee. I made my notes here about, fucking birthdays and Barcelona and my year in review, all of those things. And so now here we are in the park. The thing that was a bummer when I arrived is Barcelona was having some of its heaviest rains of the year, and that's luckily died down to be replaced with windstorms that is knocking out the Wi-Fi and whatnot. But the birds are chirping and people are having fun. And now it's died down a little bit here, which makes me feel better. I hope my levels are good. I mean, we're just doing it, you know. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I'm a fame whore. I want to be on the internet. So it's a birthday podcast because it was my birthday, by the way. I hate to be one of those guys who's like, it's my birthday. It's my birthday. Yeah, no, it was my birthday on Saturday. Shout out my friends who didn't text me on it. I don't want to be one of those people that care, but I cared. And that was what I want to say about birthdays, is birthday people suck. I hate birthday people. You know, like these people who are like, oh my God, my birthday's in a month. Oh my God, my birthday's in a month and a half. Oh, my birthday's in 2 weeks. Like, and they're like posting like, oh, it's so crazy that I got a haircut today because my birthday is in 3.5 years from now. You know, like, I don't know, there's these people who like make such a big deal about their birthday and they like want it to be, you know, such a big deal. I met this guy when we were traveling, a American guy, and so I was like, oh boy, here we go. No, we're number one. I love us, guys. Come on, we're great, America. And he was like, I don't like Germany. And I was like, really? Why? And he was like, well, I flew Lufthansa once, the German airline, and I was flying in on my birthday, and they lost my bag, and so I didn't have any of the outfits I wanted to wear on my birthday. And now I'll never fly Lufthansa, and I don't care for Germany. True story. American attitude, but worse than the American attitude, it's the birthday attitude. It's these people who feel like my birthday should be a big deal for everybody. You know, I hate that. Like, why do you think anybody should give a shit that you were born? And Facebook definitely made the birthday situation worse. Now we all have the hard data, so there's not an excuse not to say hi to people's birthdays or congratulate them on their birthday or whatever. Yeah, but I hate these people who like are like, oh, it's my birthday, so it should be special, not just for you, but also for me. And you know, I think the reason I hate those people is that I am a little bit one of them. You know, And it's like being a birthday person is so self-indulgent. It's like, ooh, it's my birthday. Please care. Hey, this is the day that I started to exist. Please drop what you're doing to have a party for me. Give me something. Give me things. Give me presents. And I don't know. I just feel like, you know, people shit on like New Year's because they're like, oh, the expectations are always so high, and then it's like always a letdown or something. Birthdays are way worse for that, I think. And yeah, so the reason I don't like birthday people is I am one of those people, I feel like, sadly. I want to not be. I want to be a person who is like, I don't give a shit about my birthday, and I try to be. I try to be very like, you know, because you fake it till you make it. So I'm like, I don't care. Like, I try not to make a big deal. But then I'm like secretly deep down very hurt that my friends Kenny and Charlie didn't text me. Just two of my closest friends didn't send me a message, anything. It's the 15th of March. It's 3 days have gone by. It's now too late for the belated. You know, the belated you can get day after, 2 days after. 3 days after, it's too long. You've missed your window. You've now you're a little like you're a dick. I texted you on your birthday. This podcast is mostly for me to call out my friends Kenny and Charlie to say, hey, why didn't you text me on my birthday? I'm upset about it. Yeah, no, but I don't like myself on my birthday because I want to be chill, but then I care. And Anya, my partner, she called me out for it perfectly. She's like, yeah, you think you're like Mr. like chill guy with the birthday, but like actually you care, and then you'll be disappointed, and I don't want you to be disappointed. I'm like, no, I don't care. It's fine. I don't care. But she's not gonna watch this. I wanted a Lego. I told you specifically, don't buy me a backpack, get me a Lego, and then you got me a backpack. And, I know you're not supposed to look a gift horse in the mouth, but when I could tell that you think that I'm hinting that you should get me a backpack, and I say, please don't get me that, please get me a Lego, I mean, like, literally just get me a Lego. I'm a child. I like to play with toys. No, actually, the backpack is really great. If you're watching, Anya, I love it, and it's really made the trip a lot easier. It's a practical gift. Getting a backpack is not like, it's not exciting, but you're like, well, this will be practically nice to have. I guess I wouldn't have bought it for myself, so in that way, it's a great gift. So yeah, I'm one of these self-indulgent birthday people, apparently. Narcissistic, entitled, feel like people should make a big deal out of my birthday. But at the same time, I don't like it. Like, I don't know, that's my weird psychological issue. It's like I want to be the center of attention, but at the same time, I don't like being the center of attention. Some of you probably find that hard to believe if you know me, but it is what it is. And, and so I don't like how I act on my birthday, like on my birthday. I had the best birthday this year. I was in Barcelona. I had a show, the midnight, the German birthday. I had a show, killer crowd. Oh, there's a dog. Hey, buddy. And there was like a real comedian on it, Michelle Wolf, who headlined. And, then I did my set. I had a great set. It was just it was a fun night. Anya showed up. We were together. And then the next day, I took the day off. We walked around the city. It was amazing. I love dogs. And we walked around the city, and there was like a 45-minute window where I started getting annoyed. Like, it was rainy. It was like the weather wasn't super nice. We'd been walking for like several hours. My feet hurt. I had to pee. And I was hungry, and I started getting so grumpy. And the worst part is I'm getting grumpy because it's my birthday. Like, I'm like, I shouldn't feel like this on my birthday. I'm like, why? Who owes me anything for my birthday? The world doesn't owe me to not have to pee and be hungry on my birthday. Like, and then I sat down at a cafe. I peed, and I had 2 sips of beer, and I was like, actually, I feel all better because I'm essentially a small child who likes alcohol. So yeah, I don't know. I don't like myself on my birthday. And then, I get this, like, I'm like, really? Are you like, you're going to be one of these people who's like, I can't believe that, like, I'm grumpy on my birthday. This is so bullshit. Like, it's bad birthday. I'm like, who cares? Like, yeah, I don't know. Birthday expectations are stupid. I don't like birthday people. And it's hard for me to get in a good podcasting flow out here because there's dogs around, there's people coming. Again, I feel like I'm doing something wrong. But the podcast is going to go like this. There's going to be 3 sections. I'm talking right now about birthdays. Next, I'm going to talk about like my historically different birthdays I've had. It's like a birthday podcast. Then next locale, we're going to do like a year in review. I'm going to talk about, things that happened this year. Will that be interesting to anybody other than my mother's? Most likely no. But shout out any of the adults in my life who care about me and do like these kind of little update things. I'll try to make it funny, but I feel so awkward being outside that it's probably not going to be that funny. Plus, I don't have like the fun extra camera views to help, shepherd it along. So yeah, and then the last section, we're gonna go to another location, and what are we gonna do at that location? We're gonna talk about Barcelona. We're gonna talk about Barcelona, where the comedy shows. We're gonna talk about the time here. We're gonna talk about tapas. We're gonna talk about the metro system. It'll be, the birthday, park pod, walk pod, Barcelona pod. Guy just really going for it on the run. I was supposed to run today. Am I even going to run again while I'm here? I don't know. Let's see. So I wanted to talk about my historical birthdays. And I'll first talk about one of my birthday traditions. Like all fun, good traditions, it started when I was depressed. I had this really depressing, like around 23, I think when I turned 23, I remember thinking like, man, like every year, the last like 3 years in a row, my life has gotten worse each year. Oh man, it's a comedy podcast. Anyways, see me performing live at the Berlin Mental Health Festival. No, I'm just joking. And so then, and then I was thinking about it later. I think I started when I was like 25 or 20. No, it was when I was 27. I was like, man, like things have really turned around. Like each year, basically since starting at 25, it's like each year has gotten better than the last. But then, I've always had this problem where on my birthday, I have these like existential crises. I can't remember if it was when I turned 16 or maybe 18, but I just remember being like, oh God, I'm so old. Like it's over. Like what's going on? Like I hate this. Like, and my parents say, since I was like 6 years old, I was like, I don't want to turn 7. I'm not ready. It's going by too fast. Which I guess is a good thing. It means I'm enjoying life, but maybe not exactly being present in the moment. Hashtag Buddhism and hashtag white Buddhism. And so, that was like a problem. And so I was always having these existential crises. I remember being like 16 or 18, and like it was my birthday. We had the little birthday celebration, and then that night, like my parents went to bed, and I just went for a drive. Like I drove to the city. I drove over the Golden Gate Bridge, and just went for a drive for no reason. I just remember being like very upset. Hey, buddy, how's it going? Hi. Hey. There's a dog, and I remember being super upset. Oh, he's still here. I remember being super upset and just driving around the city for no reason, being like very upset that I was turning so old. And I think there's part of like when you fear getting old, it's like you think you're not doing enough, like you haven't done enough. There's a fear of like the time's going by too quickly. You haven't accomplished enough. You haven't seen enough. You haven't experienced enough for the age that you're turning now. And so I remember, I think it was when I was 26 or 27, I just got the idea. I was like, no, actually, like I've done so much stuff, and that's the thing. I think a lot of times we forget like how much stuff happens in an entire year of our life. And so I started this birthday tradition of I'll journal on my birthday, and I just sit down and I write down everything that happened. Hobbies I started, concerts I went to, good things that happened, bad things that happened, and doing that. Then when I look back at everything that happened in the year, it makes me feel better about the age I am. I'm like, wow, okay, I'm 32 now, but last year I started comedy full time. I got paid to do comedy for the first time. I got booked on my first showcase show for the first time. I traveled to do comedy for the first time. I visited Thailand. I got married. It was a big year. I basically just did the year in review section in 30 seconds, but that always helps me for whatever reason. So I don't think this is a good podcast. I feel like this podcast is mostly going to be me being like, I don't think this is a good podcast. And so that's when I started my tradition of the birthday journals. Let's wrap things up here by talking about some of my best birthdays and weirdest birthdays. So my first best birthday memory is going to play laser tag at Qzar. Qzar was the local laser tag area, and I don't remember exactly what age it was. It was probably like, I want to say 8, somewhere between 7 and 10 or 11. That age, like the separating like 6 to like 11 is hard for me. And so we went to Qzar, and here's the thing: Qzar was like the jam, like laser tag, Qzar. That was the thing. That's what you did for if you had a birthday at that age. You know, you wanted to go to Qzar. So I'd been to a lot of other kids' birthdays, and I was terrible at laser tag. And I know you're thinking to yourself, how can you be bad at laser tag? And I'm like, I don't know. They would give you your stats, like how many times you got shot and how many times you shot someone else. And every birthday I went to, I was the worst. I was in the bottom. I got shot a lot of times, and I shot no people. I was a bad aim, and I want to say it's because my parents raised me as a pacifist, but I think it had more to do with the fact that I had no hand-eye coordination or, control or skill of my body. Doggos. And so then it was my turn for the birthday. And you get 2 games at your birthday. And the second game, miraculously, I got Top Gun. And if you get Top Gun, that means you had the least, your kill to death ratio was the best. And then you get like a free drink or like a little prize or something at the place. And I got Top Gun the second game. And it made my birthday. I was so pumped. I mean, I was like incredibly, I'm 32. That happened when I was 8. And I still remember that I got Top Gun. And I was thinking about that for the podcast today, and I had a realization. How could it be that every birthday I went to, I was always the worst, with the worst kill to death ratio? And then, magically, on my birthday, I got Top Gun. Out of nowhere. Never was good at laser tag. Magically, for one game that happened to fall on my birthday, I got Top Gun. And then I was like, holy shit, those bastards at Qzar, they're making the birthday kid be Top Gun. They're for sure manipulating the stats. And they're being like, hey, this kid's going to have a way better birthday. He's going to be like, tell his friends, you got to have a birthday at Qzar if he gets Top Gun and gets that free soda pop. So it turns out, one of those foundational memories from my childhood is probably a lie. And so I'm processing that. I'm dealing with that, And so that was an amazing birthday. My other favorite birthday, actually, it couldn't have been when I was, it must have been when I was 18, the Sadie birthday. But I remember when I was 16, my birthday, that was probably the best birthday I've ever had. And I somehow, there was this horse racing track that we always used to drive by called Golden Gate Fields. And we always used to drive by it, and I was like, it'd be tight. Like I was asking about, this horse racing track, and my mom Laura was like, I used to go to the horse racing track all the time when I was a kid with my dad, because he was a degenerate gambler. She didn't say the second part, but it is true. I mean, he was bringing his like 7-year-old daughter to the horse races. Anyways, love you, Grandpa. No, I never met him. That I remember at least. Anyways, but good guy. Sorry, Mom. And So I was asking her about it, and I was like, it sounds kind of tight. And I was like, I would love to, go to the horse races for my birthday somehow. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And so they're like, what do you want to, like, they're like, we can get food and then we'll go to the horse races. And so we went to In-N-Out, which was the thing back then. We had like 8 of my friends. I felt very like popular and cool. And we went to In-N-Out. We got that. Then we went to the horse races, and my mom gave each of us $20, and we just were gonna hang out and bet on the horses all day. My mom would like collect all the bets and then go place the bets for us. And you can bet like $1 bets, $2 bets, so $20 is enough to stretch you for the day. I still will remember forever my friend Will, the very first race, he bet half his money, I think, like $8 or $10. Maybe it was less, I don't know, on a horse, and the horse fell and I think broke its leg during the race, and they put a curtain up around the horse to help heal it. But they were putting it down. They were killing that horse on the racetrack, and that was the first horse he bet on. And he felt so guilty and terrible. He just didn't bet on any other horses the entire day. He just hung out and sat in the guilt of the fact that his horse died, had to be put down. I also think, Zach, friend of the podcast, I think his gambling addiction really kicked off there because he won big that day. I think he went in with 20, and I think he walked away with like $80 or something. Like he got into it, and it became a thing. Like after that, like he and I and his brother, we would like go to the horse races and like hang out and like bet on the horses. And if you haven't been to the horse races, it's such a like low degenerate. It's like going to a Indian casino or something. It's not the best of the best. Somehow, like maybe even more depressing. We're not talking about the Kentucky Derby. We're not talking about some like high end, like good horse race. We're talking about like every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday they're racing horses in Oakland. That's what we're dealing with. So, that was a fucking great birthday. I don't think I ended up winning money, but it was super fun, and everybody had fun, and it was like very unique. Like I think if you asked a lot of people, they're like, that was one of the most unique birthdays. So that was tight. I've only got like a minute left here, so what else do I want to say? When I was 25, I went to a St. Patrick's Day rave with some friends. That was fun. It was like very, very like EDM-y, gross. We were all also like just a little bit like we missed our window there. It would have been a great birthday 2 years before, and instead we were all just like, okay, this isn't great, but we're together. So it was fun in that way. When I turned 27 in Costa Rica, that was a weird one because, I was like turning 27. I was on this journey of finding myself in Central and South America, and I was like, okay, I gotta, I wanna like wake up refreshed on my birthday. I want to do yoga on the morning of my birthday. Maybe go for a little run on the beach, and then like, have some smoothies. And instead, the night before my birthday, I ended up going out with this guy and his mom who were in my Spanish class, and we just got wasted. We did other stuff in the bathroom that you can imagine in Central America, and I had this terrible nightmare. It was a nightmare. It definitely didn't happen. I think that I like somehow was drunk and disoriented and came out of my host family's house and then got confused about where to go and was trying to get into somebody else's house, and so I just woke up with like the worst hangover, the lowest. That was a low birthday. I was like, my goal was, hey, new year, new me. I'm 27. I want to wake up sober. I want to be like, in a good feeling. I want to feel good and happy. And instead I woke up with the worst hangover and anxiety that I like possibly tried to break into one of my host family's neighbors' houses, and it was bad. That was bad. But we've come a long way. We're things are better. And I also want to give a special honorable mention. Anya took me for my 28th birthday to Prague. 29th birthday? My 29th birthday. That was an awesome birthday. That was also fucking rad. And then this one here in Barcelona. It was a great birthday. I got to wrap up because the video is going to end here in a second. But that ends the birthday section of this Barcelona Parkcast, Walkcast, Birthdaycast podcast. And I'll see you at the next location.
Hey.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Jesus, man.
Better be a good view. Just me socializing, being likable. Should I go tell them to check out the pod? Follow me on the gram?
Okay. Hello, welcome back to the next part of the Parkcast podcast, Barcelonacast, Walkaboutcast. We're here on top of a mountain near the Gaudi Park or something. I was like, I gotta check the levels real quick. Just make sure that we look good. Okay, we're recording. All right. You can see behind me, there's a church, kind of. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't see it. You also can see behind me the beautiful Barcelona weather. Oh my God, what a delight. Glad that I came up on top of this mountain in a windstorm. But the podcast must go on. And I'm not sure that I'll make it to another location, so I think we're just going to go straight to the Barcelona stuff, because it's also a Barcelonacast. It's a Birthdaycast and a Barcelonacast. The negative is kind of obvious. Not great. Not what I was looking for. I don't know. But let's start with the positive, huh? Because there is some positive. I have to say the thing that I've loved about Barcelona so far is the comedy. Oh my God, the Comedy Clubhouse is a cool venue, and I got to do Fesmo is cool on Thursday there. I did the Comedy Bomb Shelter on Friday there. The audiences were great, and it's a cool room. It's like in a basement. All of the shows I've gone to so far here have been underground, and I'm a big fan of comedy being underground because it feels very like New York or something like that. It feels like this is what other comedians' podcasts that I've listened to tell me comedy should be. So that makes me happy. So the rooms themselves have been super cool. I also on Sunday, I did Atomic Comedy, which is in like a kind of a fancy looking bar. I did not have a great set, but I went first, and, I blame myself a little bit, and I blame the audience also. I think it was fine. And afterwards I went to Mint Bar for Basement Comedy on Sunday, and that was like one of the best shows I've ever had. Really, like, I don't know, I was kind of nervous, and also I thought I was doing 7 minutes, and there was a miscommunication. Somehow I didn't find out I was actually doing 10 minutes, and so I kind of had, a whole arc to my set, and I was getting to the point. I kept looking for the light, like looking for the signal, like, hey, you've got 1 minute left, wrap it up, do your closer, and it wasn't coming. So I was like, okay, I guess we're gonna do some more dad material here. We're gonna do some more marriage material, and it was going super well, and I felt like I feel like lately I've just been confident going on stage. Like, I'm like, I know these jokes work, and I know that I can get this audience on my side. Even going up after some cold acts, I'm like, I feel good. Like, that's good. And I think it's important to remember in, like, doing comedy, I guess. I don't know. I've done it for less than a year, and here I am, like, I know what you should do about comedy. But, I mean, I think there's, like, an up and down situation. And I don't want to block the church here. Let me... there we go. Head's out of the frame, but that's fine. That's a good... I feel like there's ups and downs. Like, I'm sure in a couple weeks I'm going to be like, I'm such shit. I haven't written any new jokes. I'm a garbage comedian. My confidence is totally fake on stage. My writing is shit. And I will say, I feel like I'm never, like, I, like, write a joke, and I'm like, I'm not the rewriting. Like, getting it better. You know, sometimes I rewrite things and get it a little bit better, but a lot of my best bits is just, like, that's kind of how it came out first try, which I feel like is not how it's supposed to work. So I don't like that. But anyways, Basement Comedy was amazing. The crowd, it was super full room. I feel like there were some Americans there, and that's something I've noticed here in Barcelona in general, which maybe leads us nicely into the negative, is there's more Americans, which I don't like, because I don't like Americans. I don't want to be reminded about my own shittiness, you know? And so when you see Americans out in the world, you're like, right, I suck. No, I mean, look, Americans are nice. I think everybody hates their own countrymen the most. Never mind. That's not always true. I think a lot of the European countries, you find your own country the most cringy. So yeah. So I don't like all the Americans in Barcelona, but it's been nice having some more Americans in the audience. You know, at the Basement Comedy, I think there were some Americans there, and they were like, they really thought I was funny, and I was like, yes, I should be funnier for America. Like, you should understand me and my entity and my jokes and what I'm trying to tell you about my childhood and my life and who I am as a person the best. And also, it's been interesting, you know, I have jokes that I kind of shit on my own stupidity for being an American. I have some jokes shitting on my wife for being German and Germanness. And I didn't know, like, are those jokes going to go over here in Spain? Like, how will it work? And I will say, I think Germans enjoy laughing at themselves the most. Like, they like shitting on, like, people shitting on Germans, you know? Like, the people here in Spain, you know, I'm sure from a variety of countries, they're kind of like, oh, that's a little harsh on the Germans. And I'm like, no, I ran all of these jokes by my wife, and she said they're fine, and she speaks for all Germans, so it's totally good, all fine. So yeah, that's been interesting, but I feel like the Americans really liked it when I was, like, roasting myself for being a stupid American. So interesting. I don't know. But yeah, this show on Sunday, it was just one of those shows where it's like, you know, I was doing the material and I knew it, but I felt like so in it, so present in it, and, you know, even having some little, you know, kind of things that you're doing off the cuff, and just being very, like, improvisational within the written material, which is like, there's this, I think that's like something I'm coming to. Again, I've been doing comedy for like 4 days, and I'm like, let me tell you about how comedy is. Hey, the wind finally died down. That's nice. Still a beautiful view here. But yeah, I've been doing comedy for like 4.5 days, and but I think the sets that I feel the hottest, it's like when I'm doing a joke that I've written, like I've written it, I know it, like I kind of have chosen the words, but somehow when I'm performing the bit, inside of the bit, it feels almost like I'm very in the moment improvising it in some way. And I felt super that way at the Basement Comedy Show. It went awesome, and yeah, so that was cool. That was really, I had a real high from that. And the shows last night, it was like, they were kind of more low-key, open mic vibe show, back at the comedy clubhouse, and it was cool to see some of the other comedians there as well, like doing stuff. You know, I feel like Berlin comedy, it's very, it's pretty straight up. You know, it's just people. You know, the biggest variation is like, are you more of like a storyteller, personal experience sharer, joke person, or are you like an observational setup, punchline, joke person. And here there were some people doing some very like kind of like theatrically more style of comedy, and I thought that was cool. It was cool to see people. It was inspiring to see some people taking some kind of risks or whatever. So what I've loved about Barcelona, yeah, all the comedians I've met have been super nice. The audiences have been amazing. The venues have been super cool. Walking around, I mean, it is a beautiful city. Like the Gothic area where the comedy clubhouse is super cool and old, and especially for an American, you're like, ooh, this feels so like medieval, and there's some crazy churches. One of them is behind me. You could see it if it wasn't terrible weather. There's some really beautiful buildings, and walking around the city, it's really nice. And we did have on Sunday we had some sun, and I came up to this very spot to watch the sunset, and it was incredible. It was really amazing. And I've a lot of the days that I've walked around and it's been shit, I've thought to myself, like, I can totally picture how amazing this would be if the weather wasn't so shit right now. I can totally imagine that this could be such a beautiful street or such an incredible park if it wasn't such shit right now. So yeah, that's another part of the podcast that I just did. And here's now let's talk about the negatives. Besides the fact that there's way too many Americans, there's all these American tourists, and I'm like, I don't feel like I run into American tourists in Germany, and I don't remember any friends in college like going to Berlin, and I'm like, I don't know why. Like, I guess it doesn't have the same like romanticized idea. Barcelona has a very like, ooh, it's Barcelona, let's eat some tapas. And I don't know, my memory of Spain is I just remember when I was in college and everyone went to study abroad, and they all went to Spain, and they all had crazy stories about being in Spain and going to these clubs and being out super late and drinking and being on the beach and all this stuff. And I'm not sure if it's like COVID. Oh, hey. What's up, buddy? Hi. Oh, hi. Okay. Little dog experience there. I love that this podcast is dog heavy. I was very paranoid that the camera was going to get knocked over there for a second, but everything's fine. Where was I? Oh, yeah, so I had this idea, like, Barcelona, like, it's such a late-night city. Spanish culture, everything starts late, and late dinner, and it is true to some extent. Like, the comedy shows, they start late. They've started later here mostly. We wanted to go to this one bar that had been recommended to me. It didn't open until 10:30, and I was like, oh, we were very old, by the way. We were like just hanging around trying to wait for this bar to open at 10:30. We got in there, there's nobody in there, and then it turned out to be a terrible bar that we did not want to be at, with like a black light, and they're like lighting shots on fire and blasting like reggaeton. Like, I don't know. I'm sure I could have loved it if I was like very drunk and 25, but I've become lame somehow, or cool. I don't know. It just depends on what your standards are. So yeah, it's Barcelona. It's not as late. It's not as late night of a city. Maybe I've been spoiled. I've been ruined by Berlin, which is like a real late, like the bars never close, the clubs never close. There's food available all the time. And here, I've eaten at Burger King 3 or 4 times since I've been in Barcelona. At Burger King. What the fuck? What the fuck is that? And I mean, granted, they have these vegetarian menus, so I'm like, hey, good for them. I'm happy to support that. And the first night I got it, it was just a total cop-out. It was just like, I knew I wanted something. I got it. I saw they had the Burger King there, and I wanted like a little milkshake anyways, because I've been being like such a fatty boy. I've been such a fat boy here. It's been terrible. And yeah, so I've been a huge fat boy, and I was like, I want the ice cream. But then there's just like not a lot of late night food options, I've noticed. And I was asking one of the comedians about it last night, and she's like, yeah, it's like not great for the late night food. And that's like, I mean, I thought it was Barcelona. And the food was like, it was like you have dinner at midnight and shit, or at least it was available, So I don't know. That's weird. Here's the other shitty it's not as late as a Night of a City as I thought it would be. So I thought that was like a little bit lame. And then the other thing is the tapas. Let's talk about tapas. I need to rant about the tapas for a minute. People are like, yay, tapas. I just want to check this is still recording. Yes. Okay, we're good. I hope all these dog bits really played out. I hope he was in the shot there. Yeah. Anyways, tapas. People are like, Barcelona, you have to have the tapas. You have to have the tapas. And I have to say, I'm not really blown away by the tapas. I'm not really blown away. Like, one of the biggest tapas things is it's like, I can't remember the name, but it's like this potato thing. It's just pieces of potato with like mayonnaise. And I was telling Anya, I was like, I'm kind of unimpressed by these tapas. And she was like, yeah, we have potato salad too. And I was like, fair point. But they're like, it's tapas. And maybe the first time I was eating by myself, and I asked what it was, and she's like, oh, it's like they like cook the potato and then they fry it, and then it comes with like an aioli. And I was like, oh, that sounds really good. But then it came and like the aioli was like caked on it, and they had like really salted it. It was so salty, it was almost unedible. And then we got it again, and it was like, this is just potato wedges with mayonnaise. Like, there is nothing special about this at all. And then like some of the other tapas were good. I don't know, we had like a little pizza bread thing, but I mean, that was just a baguette with like cheese and like red sauce. I mean, it was just pizza on a baguette. It's not like, I'm not like, oh wow, you really reinvented the wheel with that one. And maybe you're saying like, oh, you have to have the fish tapas. I got the meat tapas. First of all, I mean, I've seen the meat plate, and I'm like, it just looks like sandwich meats. I know they probably taste better or whatever, and it's like, it's better, but it's like just thin slices of meat. Like, I mean, give me a cheese platter, but I've had a charcuterie board. I know it's supposed to be good, but I'm like, a cheese board is a million times better. Don't even, like, I fuck really hard with the cheese board, but even then, it's like the cheese has to be good. You have to have a wide selection of cheeses. You have to have a good bread. You have to be drinking something nice. It's just, I don't know. I haven't been blown away. What other tapas did we have? They have these like kind of omelet things, like a French omelet or Spanish omelet. These tortas. It's just egg and onion, and it's good. But it's just egg and onion. It's just like a scrambled egg that they like kind of let bake into a cake. And like, I don't know. It's funny because people shit on German food, probably rightly so. But at least in Germany they have the kebab situation, which I guess is Turkish. But it's also people also I think like to shit on American food, and I'm like, I'll take a hamburger and fries a million times over these tapas. Like, I mean, pizza on a thing and just potato wedges with mayonnaise. I mean, that is basically American cuisine. Maybe we ripped it off from Spain. And then it's just like the whole thing of like, we give you like a small size and charge you like €6 for it, so you feel like, oh, it's not a lot, and then you order a bunch. Like, we got 6 things of tapas, and then you're like, oh, we just spent €50. Actually, the food was very good. I'm shitting on the tapas, but it was mostly, I was like, these potatoes. I mean, I don't know. It's just when people rave about something, you expect it to be one thing, and then it's another. And I have to admit, I've only had tapas twice. I've been here a couple days. I'm mostly eating Burger King. And I went to a place last night that I've been eating, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm, like, not looking for the right place. I haven't been, and I have a whole list of suggestions I haven't gone to, so tonight I need to maybe force myself to go somewhere different for better food. But yeah, I don't know. The food has not blown me away. The late night. And then last night, here's the last thing. My last negativity about Barcelona. And I want you guys to really appreciate my lisp here. I'm being very España with my Barcelona, my tapas, and it sounds like I knocked out my 2 front tooth. Maybe that was racist. I don't know. But so I bought this 5-day tourist card. It's supposed to work on all the public transport, work on everything. It's the thing. That's what you do. And last night, the train stopped running at midnight or something, the underground, which I didn't know. I missed the last one. I'm like, shit. And then I go to take the bus, and it doesn't work. And I'm like, what? Why is it not working? Why is the card not working? And he's like, oh, well, that card, you can only take the bus until like 10 p.m. And I'm like, well, it's advertised as like a 5-day, it's 120 hours. But like, you can't take the buses at night? Like, what? Oh, if you can't use it late at night, like, what's the point of having this fucking card? And it was like 40 euros for 5 days. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that's kind of outrageous, if I'm being honest. I think that's a little bit fucked up. And so I just was like, well, what do you want me to do? And I was really hoping he would say, hey, why don't you just stay on the bus? You only want to go like 4 stops. And I was like, okay. But no, he was like, okay, you have to get off the bus. Okay, here come some people. So I don't know what they're... it's the thing, but that's the thing. Anywho. So yeah, I don't know. I was disappointed with the Metro card. They think I'm weird. I feel weird now. They wanted to come somehow like right here, I think. But... No can do. No puedo. España. So yeah, what else can I tell you guys about the Barcelona? It's a beautiful city. I imagine when the sun's out, the day the sun was out, it was amazing. I will say that. I had an amazing time the day that the sun came out, the day and a half the sun was out. But also I think I realized it's like, it's what is your expectation of traveling? What do you like to do? And for me, I love walking around a city, listening to a podcast, taking photos. I love going to places and having a drink. A big part of traveling for me is just getting day drunk. It's just the excuse of like, I'm traveling, so I'm allowed to have a 3 p.m. beer right now. That's a big part for me. I haven't done that much of that this time, because I'm a performer now. I'm an artist. I'm like an artist, and I have to like concentrate on my craft. And yeah. So I think we've kind of run through my Barcelona stuff, the second segment of the podcast. This has actually been a pretty good location, other than these people coming and being like, hey, what the fuck is happening? It's been good. I mean, the view would have been amazing if it wasn't so shit. I'm thinking about trying to go down to the beach, but on the other hand, I was like, maybe I want to try to go get like a real meal, because as I said, my food time has been disappointing, and I still wanted to maybe go home and shower one more time before the show. I really need to prepare. I'm doing 20 minutes tonight. That's the thing. The show on Sunday I killed. I did 10 minutes and I killed, and he was like, it was the second time the host had seen me perform. And, like, I think he caught part of both sets, and I did well both times. He's like, you have 20 minutes, right? And I was like, yeah, of course I have 20 minutes. And I'm like, the longest I've done is 15. So this will be my longest set I've ever done. I'm doing 20, I'm headlining, and I'm like, I don't know if I have 20 minutes. But if the crowd is hot, it'll be good. If it's not, it could be rough. Yeah, but I'm excited, but I got to prepare for that. So I don't know if we're going to get to the final section of, the year in review. I'm not positive about that. I also am not real hot on how this podcast turned out so far. If I'm just being honest and self-critical in the moment, criticizing the art, I'm like, I thought it was a good idea, different locations. I can do the podcast out and about. It's kind of interesting. It's a thing. And I think, being more self-conscious, I can't get into the same, like, rhythm and flow. I need the other camera, too, to spice things up, if I say something funny. What I found, I think, is the best, like, the podcast is the best when I just kind of rant about, like, Ben and Jerry's or Harry Potter or whatever, or talk to people. And I'm like, what if I did neither, but I was outside, so the audio was worse, and there was less visual stimulation. And so that's what we've done. Here we are, and that's Barcelona. So I think we're gonna wrap up this next section of the Walkcast, the Parkcast, the Birthdaycast, the Barcelonacast, and call it good because I'm performing at Uranus Comedy. It's funny because it's like the planet Uranus, but it sounds like your anus, like a butthole, like a male. I don't know why I signed it male, but like a human butthole. And that's a fun joke that people like to make is like, oh, there's a planet and it's called Uranus, which also sounds like a butthole, like a human butthole, Uranus, like your anus, anus being the butthole. And so that's why the show is called Uranus Comedy, and that's the joke of the title there. And I'll be doing my longest ever set, which I'm not prepared for, and I think they think I'm better as a comedian than I am, so that'll be interesting. And maybe the next podcast will be like, wow, I had a great first 4 days in Barcelona, and then I bombed, and they saw that I'm really a fraud, and I'm not that funny. And then I'll just kill no, just kidding. Just a joke, guys. So there it is. That's the next section of the podcast. I think I've rambled enough. Maybe we'll have one more down at the beach later, or maybe we won't, and you'll just never get my year in review, which would be very self-indulgent thing to talk about anyways on the podcast. So there you have it, my positives and negatives of Barcelona. Tapas are overrated, in my opinion. Well, welcome back to the last chapter of the podcast. Just taking you on the sights and sounds of all the places that you would hope would be beautiful and stunning when you visit Barcelona. But instead it's like a wild weather warning. There are literally people out here like taking photos. The waves are fucking crazy. And it sucks. It's pretty shitty. But the waves are cool, I guess. So yeah, we're gonna rush through this last section of the podcast, but I did it. Came all the way down to the beach, guys, and I did it. I was up on the hill, and then I came down here, and now I'm here doing another section. There's a lot of people, by the way, and I'm just not giving a fuck anymore for you guys. And it might be because I had 2 beers, and Jesus Christ, there was a group of American college students sitting next to me that made me want to nuke America. I'm like, I hope nuclear war breaks out, mostly so these Americans will die. No, I'm joking, but they were obnoxious, and part of me had to think, like, I was probably, like, that obnoxious, But you just see, I don't know, it makes me feel so old, but it's like you see them, and you see, like, what they're trying to do. Like, afterwards, they all went to smoke cigarettes, and it's funny, smoking cigarettes is such a funny thing, because you can really tell if someone is legit or not by how they smoke a cigarette, like... Certain people smoke cigarette, like people who don't normally smoke cigarettes, they smoke them a certain way, and they look not cool. People say smoking is cool, but smoking is really cool if you know what you're doing. If you smoke a cigarette and you look like an idiot, like you're trying, it's sad. And these guys were smoking sad cigarettes, 20-year-old cigarettes. We're in Europe, let's be smokers, that type of cigarette, lame. And they were loving the drinking and the thing, and I guess I just get the perceptions, like, I don't see, like, young Spanish people or, like, young German people being that obnoxious. But maybe I'm just not seeing them, I don't know. I just feel like there's, like, a classiness to, like a group of drunk 20-year-olds when they're Europeans. Like, it's still bad. It's still cringe. It's not great, but it's somehow better than Americans. But this has been a very anti-American podcast, so... we're here in the shitty weather at the beach. I'm at the beach. That's what I came here for, right? Is to be at the beach. And I'm at the beach, so... No, I came here to do comedy, which I got to go prepare for. So let's finish up the last section, which is my year in review. And honestly, I think the most exciting, the biggest things that happened to me this year were... I really started doing comedy full time. I started in August, I would say, in earnest with, like, multiple mics a week, really racking up the stage time, focusing on the writing, focusing on the getting the spots, trying to do it, making progress. And I was saying this to, I think it was to Pascal, who's going to be on the podcast in the future, and one of the nicest guys, even though he's very Disney obsessed in a slightly weird way, that there's a point when you start comedy where it's like, of course you want to get good, of course you want to achieve something, of course you want to, like, quote unquote make it, but there's part of you that's also just relieved that, like, you're trying. And that's for me, it's like, it was a solid 8 years of being like, I feel like I should do this, but it seems like just too much. And then I did it. I'm doing it. So I would say the biggest thing for me in my year in review when I look back is like, hey, I started comedy full time, and I got paid to do comedy for the first time. Shout out Frickin' Fridays, Mark Beadle, who's been on the podcast before. I got 10 euros. Also shout out Tara Kilbright, another funny comedian from Berlin who hasn't been on the podcast. Dude, Where's My Visa? The most I've ever been paid for a comedy show. Gory, another comedian in Berlin who I'm hoping to have on the podcast soon, who was the first person to book me on a showcase. Weird is the New Sexy. The first showcase I ever did, sold out at the wall, like 80 or 90 people. Had a heckler ruin one of my punchlines, but it worked out because I ended up saying something funny, and I think overall it was like a good set. It was like solid, I think I did like 7 minutes that night. I was supposed to do 5, and then someone was late, and she was like, "How much can you do?" And I was like, "I could do 10." She's like, "You're not doing 10." But I think I did like 7, and it was good. It was good. So those were all little like milestones. I feel like I've done almost all of the shows that you could do in Berlin at this point. And now I'm here in Barcelona. I've like traveled to do stand-up now. I mean, I paid for it. I'm paying a lot for it. But that's exciting. That's something. So that's good stuff. So the biggest thing in this year was starting comedy full-time, achieving those first achievements, getting on a showcase, getting paid, traveling and doing spots in another city. What else happened this year? I got moved into my first place with my wife, and I got married. But that's below comedy. I'm kidding, kind of. No, it was another big thing that happened this year. I got my residency visa, and I got married. I got my residency visa and an apartment, and I got married, which is good, I guess. And that's been amazing. That was something else big that happened this year. First of all, I haven't, last year, I lived in Neukölln for a few months by myself, and it was the first time I had my own place in like years, like I think almost 5 years. And but that was like a sublease for a few months, and now this is the first time I've really settled down since I was like 25, when I left Seattle and started living out of my car on purpose, by the way. Just have to throw that out there. And so this is the first time I have my place, and it's really awesome. Every time I tell one of my American friends that I live at Karl Marx Allee, that gives them a little pause. They worry that maybe my passport's going to be taken, with that address. But no, it's a lovely home, and Anya did a great job finding it. And we got married, which was a lot of stress and a lot of work, but we did it. Not because either of us wanted to, but because we wanted me to stay, and now I can stay. I have my European visa, and it's we have that going for us, and now we could even get a dog if we wanted to. What else were some of the big things that happened I went to my first European music festival. That was really fucking cool. I went to a music festival called Wilde outside of Berlin, and it was very DIY, hippie vibes, which is what I like. If you couldn't tell, if you didn't know, I like hippie vibes. yeah, it was an amazing festival. I just got back from fishing, and it was a little bit overwhelming, but it was also super fun. I discovered some amazing artists: Anio, Sabura, D-Phil. Actually, I didn't even see his set, but I just heard it afterwards, and I really like it. There was a lot of great DJs there. The friends were amazing. It was a fun experience. A fun first European music festival, a fun first German music festival, and music festivals have been a huge part of my life. So I felt obviously like I needed to check it out here, and now I have. I'll try to do it again maybe, because I like friends and I like dancing and I like drugs. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to hear any of this with the wind, so I should probably keep it quick. But I did that first music festival. Got my friend Katie came to visit me. That was cool, to have a friend from back home come to Berlin and get to show her the city and show her the comedy thing. And we had the most amazing club night, and that was really, really cool. And Anya and I went to Thailand. First of all, we honeymooned in Brandenburg, where everybody dreams to have their honeymoon. We were surprised after our wedding by our friends and had a little Sekt party, a little sparkling wine party that got a little out of control. So I'll be honest, the wedding night was very bloated and headachy and dehydrated, and I barely made it through the public transport. We got the literal last bus out to the place that we went on our honeymoon, and cold gray Brandenburg in November wasn't an ideal location for a honeymoon, if I'm being honest. But we made it work, and then we went on the real honeymoon to Thailand, and Thailand was awesome. I got scuba certified, bro. Dude, and the thing when I was traveling in Thailand is I was like, this is what I was built for. Like, this is why I adopted this whole persona, this whole look, this whole vibe and aesthetic, is basically to be like that guy at the hostel, to meet a dive instructor and have them say, you should be a dive instructor too and stay here and like just live on the island, dude. Island life. You don't know life until you know island life, bro. And that's why I made this whole thing. Like, that's why I'm this. So it was nice to get in touch with that again, even though now I'm doing this comedy thing and I'm like, well, that's the hostel life. I closed that door, or I didn't. Maybe the comedy thing dries up in a year and then I'm like, fuck it. Maybe the marriage falls apart, the comedy thing dries up, and then I'm like, then I'm going all in on dive instructor or hostel guy. That's gonna be me. But yeah, it was amazing. Got my PADI cert, scuba cert, 18 meters, no big deal, open water. Not these open waters because it's gross and not nice. Yeah, so that's a thing. What else was on the list for things that happened this year? I went fishing again. I kind of already mentioned it, but I did that, so that was something. I went to Alaska. It's funny, like, you go to, like, it's your job, so you're like, ugh. But, I went to Alaska, saw grizzly bears, murdered a bunch of fish. It was honestly painful. It was a grind. I learned German. I would say my German got up to A2, but I got the full, tested certification at A1, and now I've quit that. I'm done with German. I had my good run at it, and now I'm like, I have other bigger and greater things like this podcast that's going to get 7 views to focus on. And so yeah, that happened. Overall, it was a good year. I have to say. It wasn't the best year I've ever had, but I would say it's really up that, like, I feel like there weren't quite so many, like, incredible, like, violent highs, because I did less drugs. No, I'm just joking. I still did a lot of drugs. No, but there weren't so like crazy high, but it was just like consistently like good and nourished, like creatively with like where the direction of the podcast and the videos, doing stand up, It felt like, okay, this is like what I've been wanting to do the last few years, and it's finally I'm able to execute it, and it's working, and that's great. And I feel super it feels like this itch that I haven't been scratching for years, and I'm finally scratching it, and that feels amazing, and that is way too sincere, and it just makes me like, bleh, bleh. Gross, so lame. Oh, we got a dog. Every podcast there's 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 a dog. So that's fun. And what was I talking about? Totally lost my train of thought because these girls are coming over here. So what did I want to say? Every podcast there's a dog. Other than that, it was nourished creatively. Super lucky, honestly, with my wife getting married. Even though she didn't want to. And I was ambivalent as well. We're too young, I'm only 32. It's too young to get married. And so we didn't want to get married, but it feels good. And I feel super lucky and like with the friends. And, honestly, there's a couple of the comedians in Berlin that I like as well. Most of them are garbage. No, I'm kidding. If you're watching, it's not you. You're one of the ones I like if you're watching. So yeah, it's been a fun year. I got my visa. And this has been another terrible section of this podcast, so we're going to wrap it up. Beautiful weather here in Barcelona. I'm going to Uranus Comedy now, 20 minutes, my longest ever set. I really got to go write it because I've got about 10. So I got to write about 10 minutes of material, and I got to capitalize. But the good thing is, if you're wondering, you could fill the time because it's going to be a hot crowd. No, they said they're having trouble selling tickets. So yeah, I'm anxious about it. Coming up on the podcast Thursday, I'm recording with one of the biggest comedians here in Barcelona, Marnie. I wish I remembered her last name, but she's a friend of a friend. She's from Colorado, and I love Colorado, so I'm excited for that. I'll report back on that. Here from Barcelona, the weather is still shit. The ocean is gray. I'm not that funny unless I talk about my mom's or my wife, and this podcast has been pretty bad. But I took you on a journey. I went a lot of places in the bad weather and swallowed my social anxiety of being this idiot on the beach with his recording equipment that's now getting sandy. So I did that for you, for the followers. You're welcome. It's been 2 years of making sketches and podcasts. I've made it every week, basically. I haven't missed a week. And the great thing is all that hard work has paid off because I have over 169 subscribers, and that number hasn't stalled at all. So yeah, if you're watching this and you haven't shared it with a friend, share it with a friend. Maybe not this podcast because it wasn't great, but share one that you like with a friend. And subscribe. Pleased to be subscribing. Like the video, share it, clips, follow me, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This has been Patchats from Barcelona, the Birthdaycast, the Parkcast, the Beachcast, the Walkcast, the Barcelonacast, Patchats, Patchats.